Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Adenike Oyetunde and I'm your host on Health Domain. Health is not just the absence of disease, it is a state of complete physical, social and mental well-being. On this show, we'll be debunking myths, we'll be bringing different guests to talk about various topics, we'll be displaying pictures, videos and anything that will make learning fun and easy. Today's topic is surviving bone cancer, and we have a special guest that has survived bone cancer. She will be enlightening us more about life as a survivor. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My name is Adenike Oyetunde and yay, I'm 32 years old. I love my birthdays. My goodness. You should follow me on social media and you'll see how I literally count down from the start of the year till the 5th of March. And the entire stretch of the month is my birth month. I am a foodie. That is really bad. I know some people say, it doesn't show. Look, it goes into my head. I try to consume a lot of information and I think the food helps process that. I love kids a lot. I'm very passionate about God. For people who know me, they don't understand that. Yeah, I've never, flown the perfection card. I am someone who is a lawyer, never practiced, don't show this to my father. I hear that in 1 year I'm going to qualify like 10 years post-call or something of that sort. So I would need to apply for notary public. That will probably be also added sometime soon. I am a broadcaster, a media personality. Recently started to flow to my non-for-profit. Some people say I speak very well. So maybe you can add speak. I'm working on a book out very soon. So maybe soon to be author. Yeah, basically that's my life.
Welcome back on Health Domain. We have our special guest. She is Miss Adenike, and she'll be talking about surviving bone cancer. Miss Adenike, thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, can you tell us how you was diagnosed of cancer?
Well, I say this quite often. It was just a fall, and in a domestic fall, in the house, and it triggered, according to doctors, the trauma, which eventually led to the diagnosis of osteogenic sarcoma, simply put, cancer of the bone, which had initially started out in my knee, my right knee, and owing to several factors, delay, disbelief, the likelihood of a different diagnosis, the possibility of several things, most especially inability solution. It extended way beyond my knee, and then which also precipitated the need for a higher above knee amputation at the end of the day. So it was after the fall, subsequent impossibility or inability to move, which eventually led to my going to the hospital and then getting the first diagnosis, refusing the diagnosis, getting the second and the third diagnosis, and then eventually succumbing, because without a doubt, I knew that life was ebbing out, literally, and that was how I knew, okay, you have to listen to what the doctors are saying and get,
this period before the first fall, it will be domestic fall, and the period where you have to be like, yes, this is real, this is cancer. How long did it take you to?
Well, it took me a few months. It took me a few months and grueling months of pain, constant pains, by the way, months of the regular phase that people will go through, the denial, acceptance, living or coming to terms with the new reality. And in my own case, I just wanted to live for the next minute and not even bother about 6 months, 3 months, or 10 months from then. I just wanted time for then. And for me, it was just that whole space. But it was a few months from the first diagnosis, and before the diagnosis there had been months or weeks of ill health, and then the eventual amputation, so to speak. Give or take under a year, everything.
So the ill health, can you describe what are the signs and symptoms you were experiencing during this period?
Because we didn't know what it was. And like I mentioned earlier, it was just a fall. Went back to school and then had to be brought back to Lagos and then headed to the hospital. The doctors eventually did state very clearly that it was a a blood clot going to the fore, and then I had to undergo a drainage. Went back to school with the hope that things would get better. But somehow, things just never got better. And eventually, I had to go back to the hospital for a second drainage, this time a major one, because the results had shown that the first drainage was not completely successful. So I had to do that again. And when we found out that I wasn't responding to treatment, we being the doctor himself, you know, but we had to refer my family and I to the National Orthopedic Hospital, where he was hoping that they would get a solution, seeing that they're experts with bones and everything regarding bones.
So when you got to the hospital, the first diagnosis was not cancer?
No, it wasn't.
So it was after the series of tests and everything, that's when they told you that you had cancer.
Yes.
So when they told you that you had cancer, what was your first reaction?
Well, because of how it was done, because of how the news was broken to me and my father, because of the months that had precipitated the need to get a final result at the National Orthopedic Hospital, I didn't count it to mean much. I just figured they didn't know what they were saying. Because somehow the rhetoric had always been that once, you know, the National Orthopedic Hospital didn't know what to do, they would always advocate for an amputation. And I don't know where that rhetoric came from, but I was also sold the rhetoric and then I bought into it. And I just figured, oh, they don't know what they're doing. And because they don't know what they're doing, definitely it's not cancer. Because prior to that, I suspect I'd only heard about cancer once. But I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what the different types, you know, that were. And I just figured, nah, it couldn't be cancer. So the diagnosis for me at that point in time was devastating to say the least. But I was very certain that it wasn't correct. So I disbelieved the diagnosis when the doctors shared it, and I was mute, you know, for as long as they spoke for. Because not only did it bring the news to my father and I, but also was informing us about the likelihood of booking me for an amputation a few days, you know, from then. And I remember the first thing I said, because at the point he looked at me and said, "Young lady, don't you have anything to say?" I remember telling him, "Oh, you can't be talking to me, because even if you told me to go get off my pinky finger, I would ask for time, a lot of time. And since you were not giving me that, I said, you know what, this diagnosis, nah, it's not for me, and it wasn't right."
How did you manage to accept the fact that there was going to be an amputation? How did you go through it?
Yeah, I don't think it was, for me, it wasn't much of an acceptance, because it was a journey. And without a doubt, I knew very clearly that my life was ebbing out. I was in dire need for a medical solution. Because the moment the orthopedic surgeon saw me, I remember his first words were, "This is an orthopedic emergency." So it wasn't for me more about accepting the reality of what it was, because it was a journey. I just wanted to be alive. I just wanted my life back. So at that point in time, I knew I was dying, literally. I could tell that I was a shadow of who I really was. And the moment I got to UCH, I didn't even flinch. I just knew, you know what, just yank off the leg if it would give me back my life, you know, for whatever reasons and at whatever cost it would be. Clearly in this regard, it was my right leg, and I was open to it.
One of the signs and symptoms that you're having during this period was the pain. Were you having weight loss? Were you having...
Oh yeah, sure. I lost a lot of weight because, you know, it dragged through months. So I wasn't eating as I should. I had lost a lot of blood. My blood level was really low. I was in constant pains, like you mentioned. I had depreciated in size. I had lost so much. I started to have bed sores, almost at the point where I started to get myself, you know, to the national UCH. So it wasn't a one-sign thing for me. It was several factors, but as it regards the limb itself, it had continued to grow and grow and grow, because at the end of the day, you know, literally cancer is your brain not being able to tell your body to stop to grow. So that was what happened. And it not only had it continued to grow, but at the point in time, it started to degenerate, being that it started to decay, so to speak. So there was no one pointer. It was several things. And because, again, it was a journey, there were things that continued to show, you know, up. So I don't think my the indices for the symptoms that I had would have been the hard and fast rule. For me, I just think because we're trying so many other things.
Yes.
It was one thing at the time. The moment that you thought that one thing was over, maybe the pain was starting to reduce, then you start to see that the limb will start to swell. The moment the limb will start to, stop to swell, you start to see that I start to have body pain. So
at this point when everything was happening, what other options did the doctor give to you? Because nobody wants the limb to be amputated. Yeah. So what other options were you given before it reached that stage? Did you listen to any other options?
Well, I wasn't sold options. I wasn't told any option. The first diagnosis I got, my leg was still what it was. Yeah. The only option I had at that point in time was an amputation. So, because the limb had started to degenerate. So even if there was a likelihood of being saved anywhere else in the world, because we had taken so much time, there was no way that I suspect that the first option wouldn't have been an amputation.
Do you think that one of the reasons why you had an amputation is because of the late
well, I don't think it was late. I think that because from the get-go, it was what was sold to me. I think it was maybe, if at all there were other options across the world, it must have been the lack of exposure, one, or the inability to having the manpower or the tools to carry out whatever it is they may have thought.
Is there anything you would have done differently after your experience now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that I would have done in my own case. My case is just 1 in possibly 10 or 1 in every 6 or 7 instance of a cancer diagnosis, because there was nothing. I wasn't ill. Nothing had happened to me dramatically that would have precipitated my need to pay a visit to the hospital, very honestly. So I don't think I would have done anything differently up until I got the diagnosis. Would we have done things differently after the diagnosis? Absolutely. I would have saved the larger chunk of my upper limb. I would have yielded to what the doctors, after getting a second opinion. I wouldn't have bothered to have wasted time with, let's try this, let's go here. The doctors are probably better. I would have loved to have been flown out of the country if the financing was available. Unfortunately, financing wasn't available, so I was stuck here in Nigeria, knowing full well that sadly, at least as of back then, we didn't believe a lot more about what the medical personnel were sharing with Nigerians or people or patients, so to say. So I would have just wanted a different diagnosis from anywhere else but from Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much. You listened to our guest speaking on survival. We still have more topics to talk about, still on bone cancer. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Dr. Adenike, and we still have our guest here, Mrs. Adenike, and we're still talking about surviving bone cancer. So you said you tried different methods before you actually come to realization that this is cancer, and the doctor might be right before the amputation, and you might have saved maybe some part of your leg. Yes. What are the other options you're talking about?
We're in Africa. So let's not act like we don't know the Africanness in us. I tried different things. I tried the medical option. I tried that for a very long period of time. I was ingesting a lot of toxins. Eventually, we found out that, it was just adding up instead of subtracting. I paid a visit to a native doctor, something I never thought was going to happen in my entire life. But everybody was looking for a solution. Yes. Everybody was looking for, how can we help? This is their only child. This cannot happen to them. And I applaud all of them. I do not fault any one of them, because the reality is most of the places that we went to and places that people we were introduced to, a larger chunk of them were people that ordinarily my family would not have known if we had not been exposed to, one, this health challenge, and two, to the people that came, bearing good tidings in the place of preferring solutions to whatever the problem was. But apart from that, it's Africa. We tried, nothing happened.
That's why we are here to create awareness, because we know we can actually save people with detection.
I've met people, afterwards who it sounds very crude, it sounds very brash, but I always just say, listen to your doctor. listen to what your doctor says. Nobody is doing you. In Africa, somebody is doing you something. You know, I got the weirdest of, oh, who did you share your footwear with? Who did you give your clothes to? I am not debunking the existence of these things for people who believe that they exist.
Yes.
You know, I say very categorically, science is science. Science will tell you you can't have a kid. You don't have a fallopian tube. You don't have a uterus. But you still see some of these women carry their kids in very interesting places. But that doesn't debunk the fact that in reality, you still do not have things that science has said. So for me, I always say it often. I've met people, unfortunately, one of them lost his life. You know, young guy, he was sold the idea that they were going to call out the cancer. And I remember the first time he shared that to me, I told him, I said, I have been here. I know where you are. I said, but my experience is so that you cut down your own process and you learn from me. I said, nobody's going to call any cancer out. As I speak to you, he's gone. And all of this happened in under a year and a half. From the day of diagnosis to, he had a very rapid metastasis. So he spread around his body so quickly. And the family is still regretting. They are regretting that they listened to him. Someone sold the idea that if they go to one place, they will call it out, you know. And he was an engineer. It reminds me of how in Africa we say, you know, may we not get to problems we don't have solutions to. Because when you meet these things, you go to the weirdest of places, you do the weirdest of things, and you eat the craziest of stuffs they could have
During
done.
this journey, emotionally, it must have been very, very bad going through this journey. What are the people with you that helped you to go through this journey?
Well, family and friends. My father and my mom, first and foremost. And then close friends. Friends from secondary school. Friends from university, because I was in my second year at the university when it all began.
You think those friends and family, they actually helped in your recovery?
Oh, definitely, they did. My father and my mom were my first contact people. I'd open my eyes, I'd be the first contact people. I'd shut my eyes. The few times I could sleep, they would be the last persons that I would see. So it was family, friends, classmates from university, from secondary school, and many other places I had been from the entire stretch of my life up until that moment.
Has this experience, this journey, affected you in any way?
No, it hasn't affected me. It hasn't stopped anyone from asking me out. It hasn't stopped me from dating anyone. It's, well, in the earlier years, I would always say that I think it exposed me to a lot more men because I had somehow more toasters, like we call them. And I'm in a relationship as we speak, and it doesn't feel like that's it. I believe very strongly that if you're around me over a period of time, you forget these things. You forget that I have one leg. You forget that, you know, until we're probably standing like, oh my God, my leg is hurting me. I sometimes forget. So it hasn't stopped me from doing anything.
That's about career-wise.
Hasn't stopped me. I'm productive on my job, you know, so if I'm being productive and I'm, you know, adding value for the money that I'm earning, then I don't think that disability will come to bear. Have you
done anything, like try to set up a charity organization, anything to help people like you or that are going through similar situations?
Well, interesting thing is, I have a non-for-profit called Amputees United, strictly for amputees and nothing to do with cancer. And I strongly believe that it's what God has called me to do. And what we do is basically hold hands. We do not provide money of any sort. We do not give loans, grants. We do not get prosthetic limbs. It's predominantly like a support team, the Amputees United Initiative. That's the name of the non-for-profit. And that's what it is that we do. Just
Amputee United Initiative. As a survivor and also as an amputee, what is the advice you are going to give people out there that know someone or is a victim?
It's always interesting when I get asked this question because I always say stories are peculiar. You know, if I say, oh, stand up, live your life, the person may not be at that phase in their life on their journey where they need to stand up. And because we're Africans, we don't know that there's a grieving process. We don't allow people to grieve, which is why someone loses a limb and people are telling them it is well. It is not well. There's nothing well about losing a limb. So it's hard. I wish I was keeping a daily journal, you know, I always tell people that I meet recently, keep a journal. Write how you feel. Pour out your emotions. I'm angry, I'm upset. You know, what have I done? It's because you didn't pay your tithes. That's why God allowed it to happen. You hear crazy things. And forgetting that God is always in a good mood. So I'd always tell people on this journey, keep a journal. Write everything how you feel. Keep it. Write as often as you can. If you cannot write by yourself, have someone write for you. Just document it. Secondly, is own every moment. There's a book by Carl Lenz I'm reading, and that's the title of the book. Own the moment. Own every moment. Own the moments the doctors have told you you have cancer. Own the moments the family doesn't understand what's happening. And as Africans, allow people grief. A limb loss is not something that it's not losing your eyebrow or losing your frontal. It's a limb loss. It's irreplaceable no matter the level of technology across the world. It's a limb loss that may never come back again. Allow people grieve. Let them cry. I think that these things, I wish someone shared with me earlier. Oh yes, and I always tell people who are on this journey, just reach out to people. You never can tell. I needed someone to reach out to me. No one reached out to me, but yes, I'm here today.
Okay, thank you so much. You listened to our guest speaking on survival. We still have more topics to talk about, still on bone cancer. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. As a survivor, there are lots of myths, and one of them is that the chemotherapy, the treatment is even worse than the cancer itself. So what would you say about that?
You know, science is still debating on how useful chemotherapy is. You know, your body is being injected with certain things, so it's still a debate scientifically. I know before had you need to say chemo is bad, don't use chemo and all of that. It also reminds me of a person like Joe Biden, the former vice president's son in the US. His father is going all out and talking about cancer research because he lost his son to cancer. And I remember watching him, though I have not read the book, watching him talk about how it's really important that we need to put money into cancer research. Chemotherapy may not fit perfectly into everybody's body. There are bodies that may not be able to handle chemo.
There's side effects you're getting from there. What about what the doctor is saying? I'm a doctor and I know chemotherapy, one of the reasons why you use chemotherapy is to kill the cells, because sometimes after removing the cells, that's the body, there might be still little cancerous cells, and that's why they give chemo, to just go there and kill the cells that is causing the whole problem. And while doing that, it can affect the whole body. So I feel the benefits, yes, the symptoms, the side effect is very, very high. I don't know about it, but as a patient that took chemotherapy, because I've not been there before, you don't know if it's actually...
Chemotherapy will be one of the options that the doctors will give to you. And across the world, there is a debate on whether or not chemo should be administered to cancer patients. The debate is not going anywhere soon because people fear it's injecting so much more into the system than the system should itself handle, particularly as it's battling cancer. So until there is a final conclusion on that, when the doctors say you have to undergo chemo, radiotherapy, largely dependent on the nature of what cancer it is, please listen to your doctors. If you think you don't want to listen to your doctor, to that doctor you don't believe, get another doctor. But most importantly, nobody is doing you.
So I've seen a lot of your pictures on social media, and yes, and I realized you're not using any prosthetic, which is artificial leg. Is there any reason why you are not using it? Is it fashionable or?
Interesting. I've owned four. Now I'm thinking 4 prosthetic limbs, 2 made here and 2 abroad. And like 2 years ago, I just got tired. It limits you, I'll be very honest. And it's taking me a while to get here where I'm accepting that, yes, the prosthetic limits you. It limits you because I'm an above knee amputee, and it's harder. If my prosthetics will tell you, I would rather work with a double amputee below knee than have one above knee amputee. And one day I just woke up and I was tired. I'm in the space where I know without a doubt that I want another one. I know that I want the ones I can run with. I know that I want the ones that I can rock climb with. I cannot afford it, very honestly. And until that happens, I think I'll just leave delimiting myself, because for me, it was more about the aesthetic value. how people thought I looked, how it felt wearing jeans, for instance. I miss wearing denim, I miss wearing jeans. And I'm still not in that space where, you know, I would wear it and fold the other leg. I'm not there. I've realized that on this journey, you get to different places at different, you know, points. And it's okay to take your time. So I would probably own a prosthetic limb in a month or two, you know, so long as I can get the one that I want. I know the one that I want, I just don't have the money. So long as the money shows up, I can get it. But until then, I'm just living my life, wearing what it is I want to wear, going to places I want to go, and just be me, which has always been my motto.
So it's more of comfort.
It's absolutely more about comfort. It wasn't discomforting, because when someone hears that, they think, oh, was it hurting you? It wasn't hurting me. I got it outside Nigeria. I just did not want to wear it again. So I'm enjoying my life. And like I always say, I'm living like it's good.
Thank you so much, Ms. Adenike. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. Cancer is a very, very dreadful disease, and we don't pray that it happens to anybody, any one of us. It can happen to anybody, irrespective of wealth, if you're either rich or poor. It can happen to everybody. And the best thing is early detection. Early detection saves life. If you have any issues, go to your doctor. Whatever they tell you, try to do it, because they know more about this. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learn a lot about it. Until next time, still Health Domain.